Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business News Afternoon Report for Tuesday, the 6th of August, 2024. I'm Sean Aylmer. Every afternoon, we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about. Story number 1, the Reserve Bank of Australia left the official cash rate at 4.35% this afternoon, and Governor Michelle Bullock made it very clear that there are no rate reductions on the horizon. She said the board discussed 2 scenarios, lifting the official rate or leaving it on hold for some time. The central bank pushed out the timing for when it expects underlying inflation to return to around 2.5%. That's the target rate that the Reserve Bank wants to hit. It doesn't expect it will get there for almost another 2 years. Wasn't a lot of market reaction today, though the Aussie dollar jumped slightly on the news. Story number 2, the S&P ASX 200 closed up 0.4% today to 7,681 points, after the previous 2 sessions combined sent the bourse down 5.5%. Given that, and the big sell-off on Wall Street overnight, the performance was pretty encouraging. Generally, it was the interest rate-sensitive stocks that did best. Industrial property giant Goodman Group led the way. Wesfarmers also outperformed, as did energy giant Santos, Macquarie Group, and US-focused Brambles and Aristocrat Leisure. The Iranian miners also did well. One company that didn't do well was imaging group Pro Medicus. It tumbled 7%, although there wasn't any new news to explain why. Mind you, Pro Medicus is up more than 70% over the past year, so it's doing okay. Story number 3, the Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is under pressure to take stern action on Iran's ambassador in Canberra after social media comments which called for a wiping out of Israelis in Palestine by 2027 and also referred to Israelis as a Zionist plague. Mr. Albanese called the comments abhorrent and hateful, saying they had no place. The remarks were made by Ambassador Ahmed Stargi over the weekend, and the Prime Minister said that the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade had held talks with him since then, though there's no indication if any disciplinary action had been taken. The coalition called for him to be kicked out of the country. Meanwhile, news that the government is looking to create a new special visa pathway for Palestinians so they do not have to return to Gaza has prompted questions over necessary security checks. Assistant Minister for Trade Tim Ayres said Immigration Minister Tony Burke was laser-focused on security checks for Palestinian refugees coming in from Gaza. Story number 4, Woodside's share price fell more than 5% today to its lowest level since early 2022, after saying it will spend $3.7 billion to buy a low-carbon ammonia project in Texas. The project is under construction and expects the first batch of ammonia to be available next year. Ammonia is mostly used in agriculture as fertilizer, also a refrigerant gas, and in the making of plastics, textiles, and explosives. It's derived from gas and is also a major producer of carbon. In fact, ammonia production accounts for around 1.8% of global carbon dioxide emissions. So companies like Woodside are pushing into lower carbon ammonia, which essentially means manufacturing ammonia and then pairing it with carbon sequestration. In this case, it's carbon capture and storage. Anyway, analysts weren't impressed with the surprise announcement and the share price was down. And story number 5, Starbucks is finding they're going tough, suffering its second straight quarterly drop in sales globally and increasing pressure on the group's leadership team. The world's largest coffee chain cited a cautious consumer environment when reporting a 3% fall in its global comparable sales for the 3 months to the end of June. Sales were off 4% the previous quarter. The disappointing results come as Starbucks negotiates with activist Elliott Investment Management, which has been seeking changes at the company. Now, Starbucks board and management have also faced public criticism from Howard Schultz, the well-known former 3-time chief executive who built up the company after first taking the reins in 1985. He remains the 6th largest shareholder. That's it for the afternoon report for Tuesday, the 6th of August, 2024. Michael Thompson and I will be back tomorrow morning with the Tuesday edition of Fear and Greed Business News. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your evening.